What's up, guys? Petko here. Welcome to the channel. I know you might hear me differently, but we've got a new setup, new PC, new mic. So the mic might sound kind of scuffed, but I'm trying to figure out the settings yet. So let me know any feedback. If you guys hear me like a robot, I'm gonna try to play around it. So yeah. Anyway, for today's video, we are welcoming the amazing changes coming up with the weekly maintenance, which is gonna happen next Wednesday or Tuesday, depending on your region. And to be fair, there's been like quite a lot of changes, which I did not expect to see that early. But again, we are 12 days before MDI time trial, so they wanted to balance things around. So let's take a look and see exactly what's good, what's bad, and what we can expect coming out Wednesday or Tuesday. First of all, we have a blood decay buff, which to be fair, I kind of don't understand that buff here on Sandlin. Perhaps that would make people play Sandlin more than Riders. I'm not sure. I believe that's more of a raid tuning than it is in Mythic Plus, but I don't think that's going to change anything in Plus. I believe Guardian and Protection Warrior and even Vengeance DH are going to be better than Blood Decay and picked up way more often than Blood Decay. But they're still going to be a relevant choice coming up with any kind of group comp, caster, hybrid, full melee, and they'll be fine. So we have a just plain buff on Soundland, and that's about it. Monitor Havoc has also seen some positive changes on behalf of the Outlaw River talent trees. As you can see, the Wounded Quarry, Waterblade Hunger buffed by 100%, and then the Reaver's Glaive buffed by 15%. That's going to strengthen Outlaw River on behalf of Havoc. So Havoc in regards to Mythic Plus, I've already have mentioned this many times. I do sincerely like their front load burst damage. The one thing that I don't like about Havoc is sustained damage. For example, if one of the packs you completely destroy them, the next pack you're gonna go in, your sustained damage is gonna be, quite low compared to most of the classes. Hence why I've always said this as a feedback: try to buff the consistent damage and perhaps even nerf a little bit their AoE. For raiding, they're fantastic, as you guys can already see, and I've told you their single target is quite competitive. For M+, again, there are a few things that I would like them to tweak to make it better. But yeah, we'll see if we're gonna do it. Vengeance also got a rather small buff. Failed Blood effectiveness is also getting buffed by 20%, which is their mastery. Shattered Soul is also gonna heal them a little bit more. And then Soul Body base absorb value is gonna be increased by 50%, which is actually making their survivability better. So Vengeance, it's currently only played in a full caster comps. For example, Oak, Frost Mage, Frost Decay. I know Frost Decay is not a caster comp, but they benefit a lot from Kill Brand, which is, increasement of magical damage done, which again, Frost Decay does have a lot of magical damage, if not most of it is magical damage. So yeah, I mean, Vengeance right now is played with like a full caster comp or a hybrid caster comp, which benefits the most out of their Chaos Brand and also great mob control. Is this gonna make them insanely OP? No, but it's gonna make them better, which is important. Resto Druid, rather small change here. Wildstalker bursting growth damage increased by 10%. And also Wildstalker chance of the Bloodseeker vines to grow on a single target is unchanged, but slightly increased when Rip and Rake are on multiple targets. Nice small buff of Wildstalker. I think Pharaoh is still mediocre damage dealer. After the buff of Balance Druid, there is no incentive for you to play Pharaoh. Balance is just much better, pretty much everywhere. The Restoration Druid also received again, this is I think the third or fourth time, 5% aura buff on all of the healing. Disregarding PvP, obviously, they don't really get buffed there, which is kind of nice. I think in total, since the late stages of beta until now, they have been buffed probably around 15, 18, 19% raw healing, which is insane. That's how behind they were, apparently. Incineration Ward also got buffed by 40%, which is actually rather a healthy buff to that shit. I still believe Restoration Druid is gonna be above average choice, even more so now after the buffs. So yeah, I think Shaman and Aug Evoker obviously are gonna be ahead, but Restoration Druid slowly closing the gap. Augmentation Evoker, very slight nerfs to blistering scales. You're gonna give less armor to your tank. The augmentation is still gonna be one of the most OP DPSs for the season 1, so don't worry about it. It's nothing significant of a change here. Devastation, Flame Shaper, Consume Flame did more damage, and also Engulf now is gonna be doing reduced damage by 20%. So they're trying to shift some of their damage from Consume Flames, sorry, from Engulf to Consume Flames on Death Evoker. I believe that's more of a rate tuning than it is for M+, but it could also be M+ related. I'm not totally sure why exactly they're trying to. Maybe because Engulf accounted for a large amount of damage. Sorry, Consume Flames accounted for lesser amount of damage, and they wanted to shift some of the damage from Engulf to that. Perhaps just a theory. I don't know exactly. Preservation Evoker also received changes, I guess. Consume Flames nerfed by a 50%. That is substantial, actually. And then Engulf healing increased by 20%. All right, that's overall positive changes for the rest of the healing specializations, because Preservation Evoker were, I mean, they will still be amazing choice for raiding and still amazing choice, one of the best for Mythic Plus. So those changes itself, they're not gonna make them, you know, bottom healer. I mean, it's not as good, but at the end of the day, they were really OP before, especially like extensive healing encounters. I still believe they're gonna be a fantastic choice, so don't sleep on them. BM Hunter, wow. I feel like finally my theory is coming right. I told you guys they're never gonna let BM be bad, and I told you 2 months ago that BM needs more AoE buffs. Finally, they decided to change something about him and give them more AoE. Kill command increased by 18%, pet damage increased by 4%, but Basilisk Scholar damage bonus per damage over time effect reduced to 2 and 4% from 5 and 10. I believe that is connected more to like single target. I feel like they wanted to shift away, nerf the single target, but then keep the AoE unchanged. I believe this could be a net neutral change for AoE, or maybe even a slight buff for AoE and then a nerf single target. Again, my theory, I have not simmed or tested anything. These changes came out last night at 2 AM my time, so excuse me, I have not tested anything yet. I will be following the PTR and also before the release of next week and update the tier list based on that. Survival Hunter also got some changes. The 2-piece bonus was buffed on Wildfire Bomb by 3%. Actually, it's not 3% because it 3% more damage, but I think the set bonus itself was buffed by like what? By like 40% maybe? Right, from 5 to 8%. So overall, 3% extra damage from Wildfire Bomb. Sure, I'll take it. First hit increase up to strike Monk was bite damage by 20% on the targets affected by Wildfire Bomb, which is gonna pretty much increase single target because you know you don't really press it up to strike on Mungo's bite that often in a AoE scenario. Well, you do press it, but not as often as on single target, for example. And then a little bit more damage from Wildfire Bomb, which is not gonna be as relevant. I mean, it's still gonna be increasing your AoE, you know, but 3% is not gonna be that huge of a difference, I would say. Okay. Frostfire talents on behalf of Mage has been buffed. So Frostfire received substantial changes. Is that going to make them, you know, the preferred choice? Perhaps, I don't know. Frostfire Bolt 15% more damage. Frostfire Infusion damage increased by 50%. Frostfire Empowerment damage bonus increased from 50 to 60, but now it grants you 1% extra mastery, pretty much 100% buff to the mastery granting. Is that going to make it play on fire right now? I don't know, dude. I'm honestly surprised they're actually touching Frostfire, but it was a bit behind, obviously. But I will see. I'm not sure if that's going to be now the preferred choice for like mages. Hero Talents Master of the Harmony. Stored Vitality causes an additional 40% healing and damage was 25. Okay, buff to Master of Harmony. Brewmaster receives some changes as well. Master of Harmony balance stratagem increased damage to 5% was 3%, so pretty much more damage here. Overwhelming Force also got a small buff. Chill Wave and Chill Burst deals more damage, so it was buffed by pretty much double the amount. And then Coalescence now causes Aspect of the Harmony to increase damage and healing taken by 20%. Okay. Overall buff to Brewmaster. I still believe you're gonna be one of the bottom tanks. Probably on the same row as Blood Decay, maybe a little bit worse than Blood Decay, and on the same row as a Station Paladin, Prot Warrior, Guardian Druid, Vengeance. I think they're gonna be ahead of you, but they're strengthening you right now, so you're gonna be feeling better next week by a little bit. Aspect of the Harmony buff on Mistweaver. Coalescence now causes us to harmony to increase damage. Okay, that's pretty much the same thing as the upstairs from the Brewmaster, but instead of 20% amp, they gave them 30% amp. Sure, I'll take the buffs to Mistweaver. Fine. And then Windwalker, Conduit, or Celestial Conduit now scales its damage with Mastery. Finally, dude. They made it scale with Mastery. Alright, fair enough. That's good for Windwalker, but very, very minor thing. Holy Paladin. Wow. Okay, so they're nerfing Holy Paladin. All healing reduced by 5% again. Lightsmith tuning. Divine Guardian effect increased by 50. Hammer and Anvil healing increased by 150. The radius of Hammer and Anvil is now 20 yards. That's actually really good. Awakening now causes a Blessing of the Forge to spawn a sacred weapon when extending the duration of Avenging Wrath. So pretty much buff to Lightsmith. Are the buffs to Lightsmith gonna compensate the 5% nerfs overall that they've got? I have no idea. Perhaps it's gonna push them closer to playing Lightsmith. We'll see. Time is gonna tell. Protection Warrior, rather substantial buffs here. So all damage increased by 6%. More healing from Word of Glory. Light to the Titans now is gonna show you instead of like 15 seconds in 10. Buffs to Lightsmith as it seems like. Which are rather substantial actually. Sanctification is gonna grant you 2% increase primary stat was 1. That's actually really good. More damage to Hammer and Anvil. Divine Guidance also buffed by 50%. Honestly, I still believe those buffs are not gonna be as huge for Protection Paladin. I still think they're gonna be around bottom tier. On par with probably Brewmaster right now. I mean, those changes are good, but then I think they need a lot more for them to be, for example, top row, like for example, Protection Warrior or Guardian Druid, in my opinion. Also, Templar buffed for Retribution Paladins. Most of them were playing Herald. Is that gonna make now Templar a competitor to Herald to the Sun? I have no clue. But they look to be rather healthy though. Overall, things have been taken the right direction for Retribution Paladin. And I quite like it. I think they should get more buffs, especially on single target, to get closer in raid performance as some of the classes. But I think overall they are a fantastic choice for any person looking to get into melee. They're simple, great damage, good burst, low CDs on the offensive cooldowns, immunity, good defensiveness. I mean, you have everything you want. One of the most friendly beginner friendly classes to play, so most definitely give it a try. I have Paladin myself and it's quite fun to play visually as well, not just like numerically. Shadow Priest caught another buff. This is the 4th buff in a row for Shadow Priest. Mind Blast damage increased by 10. Shadow Strike Ward, Void Bolt, Apparition, Entrophic Rift, all this buff by 10%. Void Blast, so they're buffing Void Weaver. So Mind Blast, Shadow Ward, Death, Void Bolt, and Shadow Apparition got buffed by 10%, which is going to increase your damage disregarding of what talents you are playing. But if you play Void Weaver now, this might be a direct competitor, which again, it was inferior before to play Void Weaver, but those buffs now might change us to Void Weaver. They might. We'll see. I think I gotta go in and test it out, but those seems to be rather healthy buffs. I mean, Void Blast damage by 20% increase, Collapsing Void and Trophy Rift by 10%, Void Flay also 10%. I mean, these are actually very good changes here for Shadow Priest, and yet another buff. Assassination Rogue caught a nerf on their AoE. Spatter Poison now is gonna do 40% damage instead of 45 on nearby targets. 2-piece got changed a little bit here, which is a good thing. Then the 4-piece now getting 5 stacks of Vial Tincture instead of 6 stacks. Developer note, okay? We expect these changes to result in a net increase in overall damage weighted heavily towards single target. So pretty much what they're trying to tell you is, yes, we nerf caustic splatter, but then we buff the rest of the things, and you might still do the same overall damage, although might not do the same AoE, but will do a lot more single target, or at least more single target, you know. That's what it sounds to me. This also could mean a net neutral change overall for like ST and AoE, pretty much keeping the same AoE and getting slightly better single target. You know, that could also be a change because they're nerfing caustic splatter. Overall, I think Assa Rogue getting more single target was justified, and I'd like to see that. They're already one of the strongest, if not the strongest DPSers for high Mythic Plus. So that's going to be another incentive to bring them again. Outlaw got a small buff. All damage by 4%, dispatch by 6%, and then precise cuts bonus to blade flurry damage per missing target increased from 2% to 4%. Okay, I'll take it. I think Outlaw needed that. That's gonna probably bump Outlaw a few tiers up on the tier list for sure. They still struggle with all the problems that I have previously expressed. Lack of consistent big bursts, and most importantly, one of the cap targets, one of the cap millies to play M+ with, because mostly with damage, especially in a week, also flurry, which is pretty much capped. So if you do play humongous packs, let's say 10 mobs at a time, Outlaw might not be one for you. Last but not least, Restoration Shaman has been nerfed. Earth and Harmony now causing Earth Shield to reduce damage taken by 3% instead of 5%. So that's going to be a nerf to anybody that has that shield. And an Acid Rain. Why did they say Acid Raid? Acid Rain is also getting a nerf by 20%. I think that's justified. A lot of the other came from Acid Rain, so that is justified for sure. Demonology Warlock, they're getting buffed again. I feel like they want to make Demonology Warlock probably the go-to spec for 8 and M+. I swear, this is like 3rd buff in a row. Leave after to be good one time. Anyway, Pack of Arid Ruin, Doomguards deal 20% more damage. Grimoire Felguard now is going to be doing 60% damage instead of 45%. Felguard damaging itself got increased by 10%, which is insane by the way. And Gloomhound slash damage increased by 20%. I feel like this is more of like a raid buffs, but that's still going to make them better even for Mythic Plus. Now it might be the case of you playing Demonology, even M+. We'll see, instead of Affliction. Warrior, last but not least, chat, hero talents, Colossus getting a buff here, which is good. Mountain Taint also getting, it seems like, to be a buff here. Lightning Strike damage increase, Ground Current damage increase, Slayer also getting, I think that's a nerf to Slayer actually. Cyclone Blaster damage reduced 10% was 20. Slayer opportunities now increases the damage and critical strike damage of your next overpower and raging blow by 20 was 30. Okay, so is that going to make Fury play Mountain Taint now instead of Slayer? Even Arms, maybe now they're going to play Colossus? I don't know actually. Nerfing Slayer but also buffing Mountain Taint and Colossus, that's actually pretty good for Protection Warriors because they were already playing Mountain Taint. They're buffing 2 set of Fury Warrior, buffing the 4 set of Fury Warrior, buffing Mountain Taint, Crashing Thunder, gonna give you more rage, buffing the Mountain Taint strength with a mountain, increase the Bloodthirst Rampage damage by a bit more, pretty much strengthening Fury AoE damage profile, single damage profile, because they got nerfed quite a few weeks back. So overall good changes here. And then Protection Warrior, Thunder Blast generates 8 rage instead of 10. Well, I think overall those are pretty good changes. I feel like the most substantial change here could be likely the buff to Restoration Druid, rather big buff in my opinion. Shadow Priest, rather big buff. Tuning Protection and Retribution Paladin. One of its Lightsmith, the other one is Templar. Now they might be playing that one, for example. Nerf to Evoker, Preservation, which is actually justified. And then we're getting a small cheeky buff to Vengeance. I think that's kind of the highlight for the changes this time around. But hope you guys enjoyed them. I'll be testing it and updating the tier list by tomorrow or Monday. We'll see how I feel like or how much time I can devote. But thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Peace out. Have a good one. See you on stream. Bye bye for now.